than in a traditional setting. We've done some qualitative research, and what we're finding is that there is seamless communication and there is a deep knowing. Not only a deep knowing between the elder and the staff, but also between staff to staff. And again, finding that the nursing care is just as good or better in a greenhouse home than it is in a traditional setting. So what about the cost? Overall, it does not cost any more to operate a greenhouse home as compared to a traditional nursing home. And what we have found is that there is a 68% reduction in clinical and administrative staff, which translate into being able to have more direct care workers who work with the elders. So the greenhouse home is a radical transformation that fits into the current regulatory environment. We exceed, in many instances, what the regulations dictate. The regulations that are in place, whether it's state or federal, are really minimal standards. And we try to exceed those standards within the greenhouse homes. When we are 10 years old as the Greenhouse Project, our first grant that we received was to replicate as many of these greenhouse homes across the country. After that grant ran out, we received a second grant. And what they wanted us to focus on was looking at marketing, sustainability pieces like creating a peer network, creating tools that will make it easier for adopters to operate their greenhouse homes, and focus again on research. The Greenhouse Project is part of a larger organization, and that organization is called NCB Capital Impact. And they're located in Arlington, Virginia, and the mission of NCB Capital Impact is to help people and communities reach for their highest potential at every stage of life. Our vision is that we envision a world where high-quality healthcare, housing, and education are accessible and attainable, where elder care is dignified and respectful, and where environmental stewardship is practiced by every community. So our company is basically a social impact organization where we loan money to economically depressed areas throughout the country. We have loaned over $1.7 billion from charter schools to Freshworks, where people who live in the inner cities have no access to fresh fruit or vegetables, to medical centers so that everybody has an even shot at being able to get good quality health care. And we also loan money to people to have affordable housing for seniors. So how did the greenhouse model come about? Back in the early 1990s, Dr. Bill Thomas and his wife Jude, and you're going to hear from Dr. Thomas in a moment, created the Eden Alternative, which has 10 principles. These principles were, and still are, the foundation of creating an environment for meaningful lives. Bill and Jude created the Eden Alternative as an effort to help long-term care organizations eliminate the plagues of loneliness, helplessness, and boredom that are often the results of people living together in a nursing home, and where the medical model is the master. He and his wife have worked tirelessly to make living better for their elders in nursing homes, and also, in the process, make the lives happier for the workers. The Greenhouse Project came about because of this enthusiastic individual who has a passion and drive to change how older adults live their lives. Dr. Thomas is the creator of the Greenhouse model and works closely with us, the Greenhouse Project, to ensure its sustainability, making sure we practice true to the model, and making sure that we also hold our adopters true to the model. Dr. Thomas is a Harvard-trained physician, and he and his wife live in Ithaca, New York, and have 5 children. He travels the world telling the story of how it can be different and helping to educate people to make it happen. It's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Bill Thomas.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to call your attention to the wind. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's been blowing. And that's the funny thing about this world we live in. It's bigger than us. And it moves without our permission. And as I was sitting here, feeling the fabric flapping and flopping, it reminded me of an old quote about wind. Pessimists complain about the wind. Optimists hope the wind'll change. And realists reset their sails. Guess who I'm talking to? The story, your story, is one of constantly resetting your sails for more than half a century. As proud as I am of the greenhouse, and as proud as I am of you for having the first greenhouses in the state of Ohio, you've always been leaders. You've always been putting one foot in front of another because you believe it can be different. I've really enjoyed being with you today and hearing these talks and hearing the story and so forth. And as I was sitting there, I was wondering, how can I contribute to this gathering? And I thought maybe, since I'm the founder of the Greenhouse Project, I might have something to say. I thought that I would actually focus on one thing that is often not talked about, but I think it might be the most important thing about the greenhouse. In the greenhouse, love matters. In the greenhouse, we can't change the passage of time. We can't make people who are old young again. We can't cure every ill. But in the greenhouse, love matters. Now, I happen to believe that's true all across the Mennonite home system of care. But what's different about the greenhouse is every square inch is designed from the very beginning to make it possible for love to really matter there. How the buildings are designed, how they're built, how people are trained, how they're recruited, the crazy words that we use in the greenhouse to describe things, all of those things are designed to help us put love at the center of what we do. I know a thing or two about what it's like to be first. And I'm good friends with Steve McAlilly from Tupelo, Mississippi. And he was the first to build the greenhouse. And I've heard him respond to people who ask him, well, Steve, what was it like to go first? And he always answers, well, the main thing is I wished I'd gone second. So I think here you are, the first in the state of Ohio, and you have an incredible story about what it took to be first. But I don't think you'll be the last. And I expect and I call for your leadership, your inspiration, your wisdom to be given freely to others in the state of Ohio who come to see you and come sit down with you and come talk to you and come ask you, what's it like to be in a place where love matters most? Thank you.
Well, you've noticed that one of the terms we're using a lot this afternoon is elders. Elder is symbolic of wisdom. It gives a sense of respect and maturity that all older folks deserve. And I have the privilege of living most of my day with a bunch of elders, and I hope that someday their wisdom will rub off on me just a little bit. We have the privilege of having one of our elders who will be moving to a greenhouse home share a little bit here, and some folks that will be participating in a litany. At the end of that litany is actually a prayer that all of you will participate in the bulletin there, if you'd want to pull that out. But let me tell you just a little bit about Phyllis. I walk down into the lobby sometimes, and Phyllis is sitting down there. And the thing about Phyllis is she's not afraid to tell you what she's thinking, what's on her heart and soul. And in fact, she told me on a number of occasions, those greenhouse homes, I'm just really happy where I'm at. Thank you very much. And maybe had a little bit of a change of tune there, as we've talked in the past. But Phyllis also makes me laugh, and she also shares her wisdom with me very freely. Thank you, Phyllis. Please come up and share a little bit about the greenhouse homes, and the others join around her as well. Thank you.
He is very, very right. I just thought and thought and thought going to the greenhouse. I thought I have it made here like you wouldn't believe. Listen, I tell you, I thought I was the princess. And I thought, I'm not going over there and have to start again. Training all these people I've trained now. So one day I went down to Doug's office and I said, Doug, I'm here on my knees begging you to let me go to the greenhouses. I said, I'll eat crow. I'll do anything you want me to if you'll just let me go to the greenhouses. Well, they've just kept me way, way back for so long. I could say I'd forget about it, but I didn't. But then I began to think, listen, they've had enough of me here. Surely they'll send me over there and let them worry about me for a while. But anyway, it's been a wonderful experience at the Mennonite home. It couldn't be better. My family's so happy. They really are. They're all here today from all over, and they're just thrilled to death that I'm coming here. They thought it was good at the Mennonite home, but they think it's even better now. Our lives are open vessels. We continually receive what life offers. Experiences and events pour into us. My vessel remains open, waiting to receive something new. My new greenhouse home will continue to nurture who I am. I am Phyllis, and I am an elder. Remember who I am.
Our lives are a mixture of work and worship, paycheck and play, meals and recreation. This soil of daily events and activities combine to make life rich and fertile for myself and for others. These activities are a part of who I am. I am Peg, and I am a Shabazz. And I am here to walk alongside you, Phyllis.
We are alive, body, mind, soul, and spirit. Just as a tree thrives when properly nourished with soil, light, water, and air, so our bodies thrive when properly nourished and nurtured. I am Heather. As a member of a clinical support team, I am mindful of the health and well-being of those I serve. Phyllis, I am here to pay attention to your health and well-being.
Our lives are made full through relationships. Family, friends, faith communities, our neighbors, and our colleagues all add purpose and meaning to our life. These relationships refresh us like life-giving streams. Mom,
We both have a little problem with leakage up here because we love each other so much.
Many of us are here today from our family. We live at a distance, but we bridge that distance through our love. I'm Greg. I'm your son. I represent many family members here today. We love you and will love you forever.
Here to symbolically represent this new relationship of elder, Shabazz, clinical support team, and family. And while they give their water, the water of life to the plant, I invite us to stand and offer the prayer that's printed in the bulletin. Together. We are a community. Together we nurture and embrace. May our Creator bless these homes with a purpose and life. May our Lord shower these homes with compassion and love. May God empower each member of the Greenhouse family with hope and joy. Amen. And you can remain standing for the hymn if you'd like. Pastor Louise Weideman from First Mennonite Church will lead us.
I'm pleased to introduce Rhonda Wolpert, our licensed nursing home administrator. Within the Greenhouse model of care, The role of administrator is called the guide, indicative of the greenhouse philosophy of leadership. Rhonda's been instrumental in managing staff selection and training, selection of elders, preparing the houses for functionality, right down to ordering the laundry hampers. Rhonda.
Well, good afternoon. In a traditional nursing home, staffing includes nurse aides, nurses, and departments such as activities and social workers and housekeepers and maintenance people and laundry people. In a greenhouse home, some of these duties will be performed by a universal worker, a shabaz, or collectively, shabazim. This name was purposely given in our greenhouse homes because just like the king's falcon, who was a hero in one of Dr. Bill Thomas's story, the shabazim sustain, nurture, and protect the elders. Shabazim are state-tested nurse aides and will not only provide personal care to the elders living in the homes, but will also cook and clean and do laundry. They will multitask, just as many of them naturally do now in their own homes as a mother or a father or a son or a daughter. Because it is a nursing home, Willow Ridge will employ 24 hours a day a nurse and will have the support and services of a clinical support team, including social workers and activities. I would like to just point out some of those who will be working in our greenhouse homes at Willow Ridge. I know that some of the shabaz and nurses and clinical support team members are here. If you could all stand, please. Many of these employees are employees of Mennonite Home, and some are brand new to Mennonite homes because they believe in the philosophy of self-directed care. I do want to also point out that several of the elders who were invited to live at Willow Ridge and have chosen to call Willow Ridge their home are here. I see Marie Place is here. Marie, if you can just hold your hand up. And Sharon Jolliffe, and of course you've met Phyllis. And I know that Betty Hunstein is here, and I think there might be others over at the home. So what an honor and a privilege it is for you to come out today, and we promise you won't get blown away. We'll protect you. When I attended the Greenhouse Annual Conference in Michigan last month, I heard Dr. Thomas talk about the importance of a story, that every house should have a story. In fact, what he said was, when I come home from a trip, if my family says to me, "How was your trip?" he says, I just say, "Fine." So they've learned to say, "Tell us a story about your trip." So I can't even imagine the hours. Dr. Thomas teaches us that if our house is without a story, it is without life. Everyone has stories. We need to learn what their stories are and come up with new stories of our own. Laura and Doug will return to the podium and talk more about the stories of our homes.
In December of 2006, Mennonite Home received a check for $1,000 with a simple note that said, "Do something to make the elders' lives brighter." On Christmas morning, 96 corsages and 31 boutonnieres were given to the elders at Mennonite Memorial Home to celebrate and to have their lives be a bit brighter that day. In December of 2007, another check for $1,000 was received with a note that read, "Here I am again with a check to make residents' lives brighter. I loved what you did last year with the corsage and boutonnieres. Do it again, plus whatever else you can think of. Oh, and I know so many of your residents. Bless them all." To make a long story short, because of the wind, Frida Basinger was not able to make a contribution in 2009 because she had passed away briefly before that. we celebrated her life and were disappointed that we wouldn't receive, the elders would no longer receive the boutonnieres. But on a letter dated October 14th, note the date, 2009, we received a check from her attorney saying, you will be receiving an estate gift and sharing $1 million with Bluffton University. That was the boost that Mennonite home communities needed to keep the greenhouse project moving forward. The gift from the gift from Frida and James Basinger is what have helped to make this greenhouse project possible. And while Frida and James lived in Arizona most of their lives, or much of their lives, and they were apart from Bluffton, they never forgot the Bluffton community. The second home in the back, the farthest one from the road, is going to affectionately be known as the Frida House in honor of James and Frida Basinger. They had no children, but they do have family here. And I'd like the Edwardses to stand to receive a certificate. Roger and Scott are nephews of James Basinger.
I remember looking out Paul Dick's office window on October 8th, 1986, and watching Dallas Bash help his beloved wife, Betty, get out of the car. He had made the difficult decision to ask for our help caring for Betty after her second stroke. Betty was well known in the community as the bookkeeper of Steinman Lumber. Dallas worked for the railroad. They had 3 children. For the next 25 years, Dallas came to visit Betty twice a day, every day. He didn't miss unless he went out of state to visit one of their sons, which he didn't do very often because he knew Betty would miss him. In 2005, Dallas came to live with us as well. He passed away in 2007. Exactly 1 year ago today, October 14th, 2011, Betty passed away. In her 25 years of living with us, her family, her husband, her children, her grandchildren were regulars at every event that we had. Every ice cream social, they were there. Every Christmas potluck, they were there. Every day, someone visited. Betty's family displayed an enduring, deeply committed warmth and love for Betty. Betty and her family are proof of the value and importance of family relationships, a foundational philosophy of the greenhouse model of care. It is with great pleasure that I announce that House A, 101 Willow Ridge Drive, will now have a story. From this day forward, it will be known as the Betty House. Kathy. We've asked Kathy Brown, who is the visitation coordinator at Ebenezer Mennonite Church, also former board member and board chair, to offer a prayer of dedication and blessing on our work in these new homes.
As Chaplain Bill said, isn't this an exciting day? It has been wonderful to hear all the inspiring comments and stories this afternoon. When the greenhouse dream began a few years ago while I was part of the Board of Trustees, it seemed far-fetched to think this could ever be a reality for our community. This style of nursing care happened in other states far away, not in Ohio, but as has been chronicled today, The dream took on form and shape, grew and changed, and became an absolute reality 1 year ago today, when the Willow Ridge ground blessing happened right here at Maple Crest. I marvel that 1 year later, here stand two beautiful homes, beckoning and welcoming into their warmth and comfort 20 of our dear elders, along with their caring companions. As we depart from this place to enter into these homes, let us pause to remember who has brought us to this day and who will continue to be with us, and every elder who will come to live at these homes from this day on. I would like to invoke a blessing on the first two homes of Willow Ridge, Frida and Betty. Pray with me. May the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ come to rest upon these two homes. May the Lord not only be present in the light of the day and in the dark of the night, but be present and welcomed in the heart of each person residing in these homes. May he be your constant companion in times of joy, in times of loneliness, and in times of sorrow. May he be your protector from harm, from injury, or from illness. May the Lord be your provider of nourishment, warmth, and friendship. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Following the song, you're invited to allow the elders to lead the way and the staff over to the greenhouse homes. You're welcome to go into either home. Also on your way out, pick a bulb, a tulip bulb, to plant in your home as a reminder of this day. Thank you again for coming, and enjoy the final hymn.
On Jordan's stormy banks I stand and cast a wishful eye to Canaan's fair and happy land where my possessions lie. I'm bound for the promised land. I'm bound for the promised land. Oh, who will come and go with me? I'm bound for the promised land. There generous fruits that never fail on trees immortal grow. There rocks and hills and brooks and vales with milk and honey flow. I'm bound for the promised land. I'm bound for the promised land. Oh, who will come and go with me? I'm bound for the promised land. All o'er those wide extended plains shines one eternal day. There God the Son forever reigns.
vacation this afternoon, and you're back this evening. And some of you are here for the first time tonight. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you for coming out. And you're in for a treat this evening. Just a couple of quick sales notes. Tribes of Eden, Dr. Thomas's most recent book.
It's a coincidence.
Is available for sale right outside at the table. And Inara is more than happy to take your money. This is a $15 book. It is a novel. It's a novel, but with a message, a novel with a message. So you can enjoy that. Also, our very own resident here at Maple Crest, our elder, Joanne Nicewander, has recently published a book as well, an Alzheimer's primer. And that is also available out here at the table. And not to undercut you, but that's $12. So 2 wonderful books for your library are available here this evening. It's well, okay.
On a pound-for-pound basis, mine costs less.
Wow. Okay. I'm not quite sure how to introduce Dr. Thomas after meeting him today. Here is a box. Here's Dr. Thomas. He's outside of the box. He thinks outside of the box. He said earlier this afternoon that he's unemployed. I'll let him maybe define exactly what that means. He is the founder of the Greenhouse Project. I also would like to introduce him as a philosopher. As I've listened to him speak today and share some of his stories, he is a thinker. And primarily he thinks about elderhood. And if that's a new term, he might describe a little bit of what that means as well. We're very familiar with childhood, adulthood, elderhood, a new concept perhaps. And so he's also a musician, an author, I'm not sure what else, but we are so glad that you have taken some time to join us for our celebration of the first greenhouse homes in Ohio. And I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you.
Glad that you all could come this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'll just set this here for now. Good evening, everybody. We have a little bit of time to spend together. I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Good. We have some time to spend together, and I feel like that's a blessing, and I'm honored to be with you. Glad you came out tonight. There's a lot of other things you could be doing, probably a lot more fun, but thanks for coming to be with me. So, I am a physician and a geriatrician. That's my background. And I've also the son and grandson of storytellers. I think a lot of you are descended from storytellers. And our history, our human history, has always been in the capable hands of our storytellers. So, although I gave a lecture here earlier today about issues that I think about in terms of aging and more technical things and stuff, I thought this evening I would tell you a little story. And if it works out, I might sing a couple of songs. Who knows? It could happen. And I might read a little bit from the book. And I might tell a story. But I don't really know. So it's going to depend on all of us together to figure out what comes next.